My boss asked me to train my replacement. I said sure and spent 2 weeks teaching him everything wrong. It started at my neighborhood BBQ on a Saturday afternoon. I'm flipping burgers when my neighbor Todd corners me by the grill, beer in hand, that fake friendly smile plastered on his face. Heard through the grapevine you're leaving the company. Congrats on the new position. I nod, trying to focus on not burning the patties. Then he drops it. Funny coincidence. My son Kyle just got hired for your old role. Think you could show him the ropes? Train him up before you go? I freeze mid-flip. Kyle. The same Kyle who keyed my car last summer because I knocked on their door at 2 a.m. asking him to turn down his music. The same Kyle who laughed about it to his friends in the driveway the next morning while I was inspecting the damage. When I mentioned it to Todd, he just shrugged and said, boys will be boys. No apology, no offer to pay for repairs, nothing. Now Todd wants me to train this kid? Of course. I smile back, happy to help. Monday morning, Kyle shows up in a Supreme hoodie and ripped jeans, vaping in the parking lot until the last possible second. He strolls into the office 7 minutes late, doesn't apologize, doesn't shake my hand when I introduce myself, just nods and immediately asks, so when's lunch? And is there a dress code because ties are uncomfortable? I spend the first day showing him around. He's on his phone the entire time, barely looking up when I explain things. When I ask if he has questions, he just says, nah, seems pretty straightforward. It's not straightforward. Our system is complicated, but Kyle doesn't care enough to realize that. Day 2, I start the real training. Except I teach him the 2019 version of our project management software, before the major update that changed everything. I pull up old tutorial videos I find buried in our shared drive and tell him this is what he needs to master. He doesn't question why the interface looks different from what's on his computer, just assumes he'll figure it out. Day 3, I show him our filing system. The old one we stopped using 3 years ago when we moved everything to cloud storage. I explain the color coding system, the cabinet organization, how to log physical documents. Kyle looks bored but takes notes on his phone. I make sure to emphasize how important this is, how our manager is really particular about proper filing. Day 4, we go over client communication. I tell him our biggest client, Mr. Robertson, prefers phone calls after 6 p.m. In reality, Mr. Robertson hates phone calls entirely and only responds to emails, and he definitely doesn't want anyone contacting him after business hours. I also mention that our manager, Jennifer, loves detailed weekly check-in meetings to discuss every project. Jennifer actually hates meetings and prefers brief email updates. Kyle barely pays attention during any of this. He's watching videos with one earbud in, occasionally saying yeah and got it while I talk. On day 8, he asks if we're almost done because this is taking forever. I assure him we're covering everything he needs to know. Day 9, I show him the client database and make sure to explain that it's company policy to CC family members on important emails if they work in related industries for networking purposes. This is absolutely not policy. In fact, it's explicitly against our confidentiality rules, but Kyle doesn't know that. On my last day, Friday afternoon, Kyle asks if there's anything else he needs to know. Nope, you're all set. You've got this. Oh, one more thing, make sure you CC Todd on every client email. He mentioned he'd love to stay in the loop and it'll look good for you. Kyle nods, finally looking slightly interested now that his dad's involved. I clean out my desk, say goodbye to my actual coworkers who know the truth and have been watching this train wreck with barely concealed amusement, and walk out feeling lighter than I have in months. 1 week later, I'm washing my car in my driveway on Saturday morning when Todd storms across the street, face red, veins bulging in his neck. What the hell did you do? Kyle got fired yesterday. They said he was using outdated systems, annoying clients with phone calls, wasting everyone's time with unnecessary meetings, and violating confidentiality policies by CCing me on client communications. You sabotaged him on purpose, and you're going to call HR right now and fix this, or I'm suing you. I set down my sponge, walked over to the keyed scratch still visible on my driver's side door, ran my finger along it, then looked Todd dead in the eye and said, guess boys will be boys.